wild concept.
Sherry, I'm having a bit of a problem with that.
All right.
Okay. My experiences within the classroom structure, both as a student and then also as a teacher, would relate, for example, if there was a teacher, there was one particular instructor I remember who was able to get the highest good from everyone. There wasn't a variety of some people hated that person, some people loved him. Everybody just was glowing. So why does there have to be that dichotomy, those opposites, if one instructor is able to really bring everybody to a higher state? And you're saying, well, maybe you're supposed to have a negative state at the same time.
No, I don't think that's what I was saying, that you have to have a
I
part of your
meant
audience negative and part of your audience positive.
But the whole class was having a positive.
That's wonderful. If it's all positive, you still got them to feel. What I'm trying to say is, if they feel negative, you still did a good job. Not that you have to give them negative too. I don't mean that at all. I like the people best who do my negative stuff for me, because then I don't have to find it. That to me accelerates my growth. If I've got a big hole in my research and I can't see it, and somebody else comes up and just really whams me and say, you didn't do that right, I get to fill up the whole gap quicker because somebody else helps me out. And I feel like the universe sent them because they knew I had a hole in my frequency. I don't think anybody will ever come to you with a problem that they don't already honor the fact that you can help them solve it. But we don't like people to be uncomfortable because it makes us uncomfortable. Look at the reaction Brad did for us. How many of you were uncomfortable with that? But I praised that. I did a job to create a space for him to feel. And that's really looked at as something not nice. Oh, don't cry. I'll take care of it. Hey, cry harder. Kleenex is in the bathroom. Make people responsible.
Therapy for Brad.
It's therapy. Not make people responsible. Allow them to be responsible by you not taking that responsibility for them. Listen to what people really say, what their needs really are. If I call you on the phone and I say, Ginger, I really needed you. I really needed to talk to somebody. Where have you been? Most likely she's going to tell me where she's been, right? Not now. The real issue is they needed me. And if I say, oh, did you need me? Then I gave them the responsibility to say yes or no. If I say, can I help you? I'm right in there doing it. I say, oh, did you need me? Making them make that choice. Balancing the energy between us. Balancing our sound. Balancing our aura. Because if you and I are balanced, he doesn't have to do it. And if this room is balanced, that one doesn't have to. Isn't that what metaphysics is about? That each of us have our own balance and harmony. Isn't that what metaphysics said all along? But we didn't have any scientific backup, so Charles wouldn't believe us about it. And now we got a machine, and we have the numbers, so we have the science, and we have the metaphysics. And my place on this planet is to give you the techniques to do it. No matter what class you go in of mine, you get techniques to live a life of truth for your own truth. Not mine. Your own stuff. You want to be a whore, be the best one. I'll help you. You want to be an inventor, I'll support that as much as I can. Whatever you want to be is all right with me. I don't want you hacking up my children or something. I'll stop that. I'd feel real unsafe there. But as long as you're being truthful to your own being, pose a question. Was Charlie Manson truthful to his being? When he hacked up Sharon Tate?
Yes, he was.
Was Charlie Manson really doing it?
Was Charlie Manson really doing it, Sam asked. It's because of those kind of events that we have jails and we feel uncomfortable and we make laws that say you can't hack up people. And we started making all these laws and rules because we needed him to feel safe.
I think it's gonna run the new chief.
Yes, Ginger.
You said we could display what we need either with a positive or a negative, either passion or rage. In his case, he had a choice of which way he expressed that, and he chose to do it with violence. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Right,
But
by the numbers.
At some point, he had a choice where he could have expressed that with the opposite.
Right, and I wish we could break the code of every emotion. I'm very angry, I don't want to feel angry, what's my other stuff? First I'd say, well, maybe you need to feel angry. Is it hurting anybody? Is it helping you in some way? I don't want to manipulate people like we manipulated the people to speak in tongues. I felt real guilt about that for many years. And I see positive sides of it and I see negative sides of it. And people are going to have to make their own choices about that. Again?
I guess I'm trying to get the gap in there so that I can feel comfortable about who and what Manson is and how he expressed that.
Well, how do you know that Manson didn't agree to do that so we would be appalled by that behavior and learn lessons of our heart? How do you know that that didn't balance something else? We don't. We have this narrow focus that we can't see the whole. Yes, Jean?
When I was taking into consideration the needs of the woman, she obviously had a choice in the house to create something she wanted, as well as the baby for that.
But people will say on a physical level that didn't happen, that she had a choice. But I believe on some level she did. But I draw some lines someplace. I still have prejudice about babies being raped and that they made that choice, and babies being born with cancer and they had that choice. I haven't worked all this out. I still have some problems with that because I have this tender heart about freedom, and I think that freedom has been taken away from that child physically, and this is my prejudice. But I promise to teach you guys to change your energy, so I'm going to do that. What a wonderful name, Corey C. And this wonderful sweater that matches your name. Feels good on you.
When you talk about how you feel about these things, it's a very feminine philosophy. It seems what it lacks is the male side. Because some behaviors are stupid and get people into big trouble, and some behaviors are better.
Do you hear what he said?
No.
That I have a feminist viewpoint, and I left out the male, and there's some behaviors that are really stupid. That's
Yeah,
what he
they're
said?
stupid in that. See, the New Age, we tend to idealize people's behaviors, and that allows a lot of stupid things to be done. And the male viewpoint is, or the father force, is a more disciplining force, and a balance to the feminine, which tends to be like yours, accepting, see it as required, see it as needed by the world and the person. The male is a little different than that. The male will tend to be a little more forceful, a little more disciplining in their love. And so if it's just a feminine force, it gets a little dangerous. And there's a little too much of it in the, when I'm a therapist, I've seen a lot of couples years, and I find that the male force is missing, the male force of the love, which is more demanding, less allowing everything to occur. If you allow everything to occur in a family, you get aberrated children.
Okay, I don't allow everything to occur in the family. That's a next step to this, how not to have.
But if you think everything is required, there's a bit of danger in that. And it's lacking the male force, which will say, I'm not going to allow that to occur.
Do you hear what he's saying? That there's a male force that I'm not going to allow this particular thing to occur. I think in a utopia, if we just had numbers, everything would be required. I think in this world, that can't happen. Discipline is required in the family setting. I was looking to see if Julie was back here. Julie is my assistant, the little blonde-haired girl, right?
There's two of them, all right.
There's two of them. Kelly's back there too, but I haven't jumped Kelly's case recently.
Is that your daughter?
No.
Oh,
She might as well be, but she's not genetically.
oh.
Maybe she is electromagnetically. But there are certain things that in my work that is very, very required.
Yeah.
And when they're not done, I don't yell and scream and jump on joy. I go to the source and find out why that wasn't done, and I fix it. Her not doing it, I think, is required. It's also my requirement to see that my needs get met for my job and what I need to do. And I am not a soft person to work for at all.
No, that's good.
I'm a very hard ass.
You see, if Charles Manson does that action, it has bad consequences for him.
Absolutely.
See, we're here to, it seems to me, to transcend ourselves, not to fulfill ourselves. So we have to learn to act in such a way that we do that.
Do you hear what he said? You want to repeat it louder? That was good. I don't want to paraphrase that one.
Yeah, we're here to transcend ourselves. I mean, I'm a student of Dr. John, and I like his wisdom a lot. He cautions against idealizing our own behavior and presuming that everything we do is either required or something we need to do or something we should do. Because when you are a spiritual practitioner, there are strong lists of things to do and not to do. And if you want to grow, you have to be very careful about what you do and what you don't do. So the female side is much more permissive and it's wonderful, but the male side is more disciplined. And you need both. And you seem, and I like it, you seem to be putting on the female side of nurturing. But without the male side, and I've seen this in a lot of the couples I see, the kids, for example, are aberrated. They're eating whatever they want. They control the family. Same thing happens in society. People become childish.
Because they need parameters and they push till you give it to them.
That's right.
Just like I'm gonna push her till she stands up and we work it out. In order for people who think things are required, and usually all of you in New Age have either D or E missing. That seems to be a real general term. And those things are taking authority and telling people what's going on with you at the moment. Those are two big issues. And there's a way that you can be gentle with those and still get your point across. One is never defend yourself without you having to ask, or somebody having to ask you to defend yourself. And ask a question. If I come up to you and I say, that's the ugliest shirt I've ever seen, that's my issue. And she's going to start defending herself most of the time. Well, I really like it. My mom gave it to me. If she puts that issue right back in my face, I'm going to learn my lesson. And that, to me, is gentle strength. To me, combining male and female together, to use your terms, is gentle strength. I don't have to be afraid. Some guy came up to me and said, "You're too ugly to be on stage." I could have asked a question and said, "Hey, you're no Robert Redford either." But I said to him, "Oh, what do you think I could do about it?" That's my strength as far as I'm concerned, of coming away from his issues, or away from getting my own issue involved. He said, "Nothing, you look like my mother and I hate her too." That's true.
Really happen?
That really happened.
Today, last.
Oh no, in Sedona many years ago.
Oh.
Whose issue was it?
Well, let's see, Sherry, I guess what I need to say that what I need now, I think, is a machine and some numbers and aura or something, because I'm feeling very judgmental about your judgments.
All right. Somebody who could tell me the truth. Honor, lady. I'm not going to work on it, but honor that you said it.
To answer your question, if he's an ass, that's his problem. If him being an ass bothers you, then it's your problem.
That's right. But I didn't take on his issue.
No, I thought you handled it very well, in my opinion. In my evaluation, not in my judgment.
Yeah, but you're taking the male role.
Son of a gun.
I promised quite a while ago to teach you to control your own aura, to know about it, right? It's quite simple. You can do it mechanically, or you can do it with your mind. Which do you want to learn, or do you want both?
Both.
How about telling us how to see auras, like you did the nurses?
I could do that if we have time, but I promised this other stuff first, so I'm gonna do that.
Sherry, did I miss out on something?
What?
Did I get the formula of how to balance out my sound? But did everybody get it? No, I didn't.
You do your own sounds with doing an ah, ooh. You find out what your sound is. You can usually know that by your own colors. But until you work on the symptoms of what caused your sound in the first place, it's not going to help.
Okay, so
Unless you do it mechanically. And then we can override almost everything that's going on in your body. I don't happen to think that one or the other is better or more. I think they should be working together. That we should work on the issues of psychology that caused it to be there in the first place. But maybe we give you a machine that gives you the strength or a reprieve out of your dilemma long enough for you to look at it. And you can find your own sound by listening to it in your ears. You don't need the numbers of it. Listen to these cups. Listen to your own sound that way all the time. You don't need me. It's a nice entertainment. If I'm going to set a box in your house, a SMAD, I need to know what your sound is to override what your psychology is set up. But just to have your own sound, you don't need me.
well, I mean, you have your own sound, but if I need the missing sound, how would I determine what the missing sound is?
You would have to buy one of those little piano tuners and talk to it. That's as simple as that. Talk to it first about a base rate, what you had for breakfast, unless that causes you stress. Then something you dislike, something you like, something cause you anger, something cause you fear. Talk a little bit about the people you love. Yeah, and Julie would probably be very willing to answer questions and tell you that I'm not a gentle person to work for.
Would you go into that a little more?
Where's the van? Yes. It was there an hour ago.
You mean this is the second car's been stolen today?
What?
It was parked straight out, a little to the left, in the center, on the side.
It was there before we started this
Do
program.
you want to take a break?
Let's turn the air
I think your
conditioner
car
on
disappeared
while
for
we're...
you.
Together, he didn't need the box anymore. And they sent it back. Is that wild? I'm very willing to make a box for each of you. I don't think... Oh, I kind of like the air, unless it's bothering you. Talk louder, okay? Shut the door. If I have to talk louder, we have to shut the door. No, I was burning up here. But I didn't notice it until I quit.
What do you make this box out of? I don't understand the box. I must have missed it.
It's called a SMAD, a self-management auditory device. And that was all that mathematical junk I was giving them all over here.
That was good stuff.
That you put in, well, not to that side, that you put in two sounds and you get a third sound because your brain creates it, but you have to find your sound first. You could find what's missing from your voice by using this little chromatic tuner. When you have sounds missing, they each have a component of environment, physical, biochemical, and emotional. If you have the note of C missing from your voice, you have probably a circulatory problem. You have trouble taking power. Physically, you probably don't get a whole bunch of exercise.
Okay, where is that information available? In your head?
In my head.
Can you get one? Each one of us get it on a platter? Or get-
Look on your blue chart. Write it all on your blue chart. The note of D missing usually deals with digestion. It's the frequency that the liver and the pancreas and the aisles of Langerhans run on. So that frequency begins to break down. Those organs don't run on that note again. It's not in your voice. We know it. We put it back. It fixes the organs because it gives you the frequency you needed. The body cures itself. But you still have that issue of not being able to give or take authority. You don't work well for other people, and you're not a good supervisor because you're too involved in what that person you're working for you thinks about you. Food, or the lack of, I think, makes you sick. And certainly some of our personal habits make us sick. or make us less able to stay healthy. Now, if I go in and work on the environment, that's one issue, and there may be some change. If I work on the environment and your physicalness at the same time, maybe a little more change. If I work on your emotions, your biochemistry, and your environment, I got more change still. If I work on all four issues simultaneously, we got the stuff going, and it'll happen quicker. That's why it's very important at the beginning to tell you about the sounds of the machines, the scientific stuff, what makes it work, and then give you all that psychology stuff to get rid of or embrace whatever you want to cause the emotional part of it, because they work hand in hand.
Can that machine work kind of like a biofeedback in that then we know what it even feels like to be balanced?
Hold this. Come here. Face in this. Face that way. There is a way to touch acupressure points on her back and run her energy so that she feels it. What I do is change my energy to something I know she's not, and she will feel what it's really like to change her energy. Now, she may not have authority over it because I'm doing it, but I can teach her to do it for herself. Not a lot of us want it. If you go home and there's a big pile of dirty dishes there, I don't have the energy to do that. I'm tired. If I give you the technique to give you energy, are you going to do the dishes? Not if you don't want to. That's what it stands for. You got to say, I'm not really tired, I don't want to do them, and I'm not gonna. And if you have a problem with it, you can do them. That's how this goes in tandem. I can teach you the technique, but you have to have the courage to stand up for the psychology that backs it. Okay, just hang loose here, and I'm going to change my energy. Feel any? You'll feel it. It'll be tingling if you feel it.
It's hot. I
It's
feel
what?
heat. I feel heat.
Okay, so
Lots of heat.
This is a synthetic shirt. Anybody have cotton on?
Fine.
Let me
Change with it.
let me make my energy different from yours, okay?
Now that's tingling.
Okay. What I did at first with her was go with orange, and then I changed it to blue. I changed my energy to be different from her so she could feel the difference of the charge, and you get little tinglies. Okay? To learn that technique, you can then have authority over everything that happens to you.
It's hard to rub your own back.
Well, you teach a good friend. Synthetic clothing takes up your charge. Like hers, I really had to try hard. Carpet takes up the charge, so you really have to know how to change that. But think about it. Just something as simple as washing the dishes or changing the tire, cleaning out the garage. You'd rather fool your body into thinking you're tired rather than changing your energy to give yourself that to do the deed. Right now, what's your mood? What's your mood? Yes?
A little bit scattered. I'm kind of waiting for something that I can really
Yeah.
grasp, hold on to you, and I really have a very positive response to you, and at the same time, I'm not being what you're teaching too much in the sense that I don't feel you're giving in such an organized fashion I know you're able to do. So the feeling of a bit of frustration, a bit scattered, and sort of waiting for the collective through.
So you can leave?
Yeah. Well, no, well,
So we
it's
have a
interesting
completion.
conversation. I have a very nice response to you first. I like it. And at the same time, I feel like the class is, I feel a little frustrated with the material. And I like you. So I'm sort of waiting to see if anything changes, and if it doesn't, that's okay. So that's basically.
I find my material very hard to explain to people because I have to give you so many bits and pieces and make you hang on till I tie it up for you. It's hard to describe, but it's easy to understand once you get all the pieces. It's unusual that somebody can say that to an instructor in a class, and I hope I've created that space for you to be able to say that freely.
You have a wonderful.
That to me means that I succeeded. If nothing else,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
succeeded in that. That's a good lesson here. It was not my intended question, but it's a good lesson. What if somebody came in here and told you you just won the lottery? Ah, her eyes perked up. Energy. Where did it come from that energy changed? From inside you. You changed it based on what you think. Normally when you have a thought, the nerve fibers sustain the thought and you begin to manifest it or feel it. There is a way to trick your nerve fibers into thinking they thought something and sending a signal back to the brain. That's what I just did with Ruby. All of you can learn that. It's a very simple technique. But you need another person to teach it or to do it with. An easier way is for you to change your own energy. But know that with that comes responsibility. I'm not going to give you tools without knowing the way to use them in the best way for you possible. I just won't do it. If I teach you to change your energy so that you can pull up energy all the time, are you going to keep changing it to physical energy so you can get everything done in the world and never sleep? That's abuse. But if you need it once in a while, that's all right. I needed to shake when my daughter got hurt and I released the energy. I needed to shake. I needed that release. So I don't want to give you a tool to abuse yourself with at the same time. And I'm setting a groundwork for you to be responsible with what you're giving. That's where I'm coming from. You guys are coming from a place of honoring me wonderfully. Because you're real with me. You tell me what's really going on with you. And if you get nothing else, that's my job. In order to teach you to change your energy, you need an imagination. Is anybody here without one? No? Some of you will use a light bulb because that's the level you are, and that's a thing that's very common to you, and you can see it and you can imagine it. Some of you will use a ball of light, some a triangle of light, some a square of light. You'll use your own symbols. I'm going to start you out with a symbol, but I want you to do your own. Because what you give you is much better than what I give you. You know your body better than I do. I can't be a good Sam Sutherland. He's the best there is. Right? The best Sam Sutherland there is. So do you want to learn to change your energy, which is really manipulating your aura? Then a little bit more about your sounds and how to deal with that. Then I'll open it for questions and you guys can get what you wanted, which is what I said in the first place. This class is not planned. It's all going to come from your questions and how you respond to it. Okay, I wish I had some music, but somebody stole my tape recorder, broke into my car, and stole my tape recorder. So we'll do this without music.
I have a big one.
If you can get it to me in 3 seconds, I'll take it.
The tape recorder?
I don't have
Right
it
here.
Sound to color, the sounds.
Oh,
Do you have the tape?
well, right here.
What do you mean? Your wishes might
Ask
be
and you shall receive. All right.
That's pretty bad.
That was under 3 seconds, wasn't it?
Time is not important.
Time does not exist.
Another machine.
We believe in those things. Whoever wrote that? You believe in a machine more than you do your own? This is words.
That's music.
It makes it vibrate. Can you hear it vibrating? There's no way I can make it higher than it'll vibrate. You hear it now? Okay. If you want to lay down on the floor, that's your choice. If you want to stay in the chair, that's okay. If you want to go to sleep, you'll probably get it better. If you want to leave, I'll pretend you have diarrhea. We're going to change your aura with your mind. Just like I said, if you won the lottery, what would change your energy pattern? It's how she thinks of it. So I'm going to show you a technique to think about something and change your energy levels. You can close your eyes or you can keep them open. And I want you to imagine now that you're in a black void. Nothing above or below you. Nothing beside you. And now beginning to appear in this black void is a light. Let it be white at first. The most brilliant, bright light you can possibly imagine. And I want you to turn it up even brighter. See it in your mind. And I want you to move toward this light. Feel the warmth of it. And now I want you to make the light very, very tiny. But it's also very dense. And it has tremendous energy in this tiny, tiny light. And I would like for you to give permission for this light to come into your body. Allow it to be in a place, in a space, where your energy resides. Feel it there. Allow it to become more and more energized, but contain it in its small space. And as the energy builds, you know that this light is going to explode. And it will explode when I snap my fingers. And you will allow this light to move into every cell, every atom of your being. Do it now. Feel it moving throughout your body. And in your mind again, I want you to create another light. Allow your body, your mind to make the choice. If this is appropriate, you can use red for emotional energy if that's what you desire. Orange for physical energy. Yellow for mental. Turquoise for attunement with the earth. Blue for calming. Allow your mind to make the choice. Allow your mind to see the shape. Allow your mind to give permission to allow that energy, that color, that form to enter your body. Maybe in your head this time, maybe in the stomach area. And allow it to grow and glow in energy feel the force of it that your mind has created. And when I snap my fingers, allow it to explode, moving quickly to every cell of your being. Now. And when you feel like you want to open your eyes, you may. This tape recorder was not equipped to handle that kind of music. It made it very distorted. Especially me holding it made it very distorted. Was the distortion in the music aggravating to anybody but me?
Well, we were asleep.
Oh, you were asleep. Some of you actually jerked and your eyelids jerked when I snapped. When that explosion took place, did you feel a surge sort of happening? That's how you tell that you've really facilitated a change in the electrical frequency, which again moves back to your brain, I think, and causes you to realize the emotion. When you have an emotion, the nerve fibers sustain the frequency, sending a signal back to the brain saying, I thought this. You just learned to trick your brain into thinking you really thought something. You can find the colors that stimulate you to a certain mood and use them. And everybody's colors are different. Red may give you energy, may put him asleep. Everyone's aura is different in their shade and what it means. A shade of pink on my daughter means she's upset. The same shade on my son means he just lied. By using that technique and being able to perfect it, and I can do that in an instant now. You don't have to go through all the stuff I did. You create the ball and you explode it. That's all there is to it. And you know you've done it when you feel that surge happen. You can change your aura, your energy, your cycles per second to anything that you would like. Any time you like. You want to go to a job interview? You don't know what color to use white. When in doubt, use white. Ever heard about putting white light around you? Big mistake. Ah, he says. You start with a tiny speck of white light inside, and you move the light outward so that whatever was causing that moves away. When you put white light around you, since it vibrates at a higher rate, you trap it. So you use a tiny speck of light, and you move it out in rays, or I use an egg, but you'll develop your own system. I can't teach you the way to do this. I can teach you my form, and then you modify it to fit your needs. Don't take what I say is the truth of start with white and do green and whatever. You can do it with a chakra balancing with a tape that has every color in it. And you go right down the chakras and balance them by frequency. What you change, people will actually be able to see because you're really changing your aura. You're changing your cycles per second. The aura contains 3 layers. The second of which is usually the psychology one that changes. We have an aura layer that's about 1/4 of an inch thick that moves right around the body. On females, it's very different from males. Person. A female aura is wide and kind of soft and mushy looking. A male aura is very angular, and you can tell when a female is testosterone dominant or male dominant because their aura is angular. You can tell when a male is estrogen dominant because it's very soft and feminine looking. Oh, that's such a relief to have that go off. Your aura is what you just changed. This first layer never changes. It's electric blue. The next-
Excuse me, you said that when you say feminine versus masculine,
It's really
yeah.
hormones, not
well, I
gender.
understand that, but what
Uh-huh.
it's not a general statement to say that males will always have the angular and females will always have the other one.
I said male-oriented. Testosterone-dominant
Yes,
people.
okay. All right.
Male-oriented. I've got you guys going good on calling me, right? This is not quite this wide. It'll be about 1/4 of an inch. The second aura that we studied comes out to about 18 inches. That's the one you guys changed. That other one hardly ever changes unless you've got some thing like struck by lightning or something like that, and then you'll get a big hole or piece in it. And sometimes when people get something amputated, there's a hole there, a piece missing. This is what you changed, and that's your psychology. And you can change it all the time, every minute of the day. You need calm, change it to your color that's calm. You need hyper, change it to that. It is a tremendous responsibility to be able to have authority over whatever you feel. One of the things I want to caution you about is I don't want to be angry, I won't. To me, that anger is needed. If you can do without it, fine with me. But to me, when I feel anger, that's my button to say, I don't need to go this way. Keeping that aura intact, I think, makes you healthy because it makes you open. But when you get into such a place where you cannot control your aura by yourself, that's where I step in. Test your voice, see what's not in there. Every organ in your body has an electrical frequency, has an aura to it. The lungs travel around the sound of E. If the note of E doesn't come out your voice, that means the note that your lungs are running on is off. It's not exactly the note of E. And I can tell by that little machine how much it's off, the note of E. We can put that back because you're already in a state of stress till we know you can't control it with your head. We test your voice with this little box. We find out exactly what's missing. We put it back with music. You put it back with the color. And if it's a note of E missing and you don't happen to like the color yellow, use the opposite color, which is violet.
Are you saying, when you say the color, are you talking about the color as we see it or the...
Look on your chart, you'll see both.
Use the opposite note too.
Use the opposite note. Most of the time, that indicates that you are either right-brained and your note that you gave us was left. C, D, and E tends to be notes of left-brainers. G, A, and B tends to be the note of somebody stimulated by right brain. F, depending on the shade, or green, depending on the shade. Yeah, I talk about the colors if it has notes to it. To me, it does. Most people, it doesn't. So most people, they don't see colors hanging out people's mouths when they talk either. That's okay. That's a form of synesthesia, and when I get really tired, that happens, and I can't listen to what you're saying to me because I'm enjoying all this cacophony of color coming out your nose and your mouth.
So what you see, is that what's missing? Is the opposite of that what's missing, or is that what's missing?
If you're a left brain person, what you have missing is probably accurate. If you're a right brain person, it's the other side of the sound. When you talk to this little machine, if you have the note of C missing and you're a right brainer, we know to give you F. You can usually tell by the colors you like or don't like which side it is. And you guys know what your left or right, do you?
Oh.
What brain dominance you are? You want to take about 5 minutes and do it real quick? Okay, I don't do psychology brain dominance. You know, you like facts or fiction or large concepts or details. I do physiological brain hemisphere. And this is fun. I start at the top of the head and move down. The first thing is an eyebrow lift. Can you lift one eyebrow, not the other? Can you move one down and not the other? Turn your color column chart over. Make 2 columns, left and right. Vertical columns. Okay, I can lift, what eyebrow am I lifting? What am I putting down? Am I doing anything? My left eyebrow,
Oh, you're looking down, right.
I'm manipulating one more than the other, right? Sometimes. He's going to do a close-up of this. Can you believe that? This one's going down more, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I would put, that's my right eyebrow. So on the right-hand column, I would put eyebrow. You guys do your own thing. You might have to ask your neighbor which it is. If it's equal,
Is
put
it
a,
the one that goes up?
the one that has the most control.
Oh, control.
The one that has, the eyebrow that has the most control. Look at Bill over here trying to decide.
Is it the one that goes down or the one that goes up?
The one that has the most control. Yours is right. I can see it.
Which one is it?
You're equal. Hers is equal, so she gets to put it on the line. She put her eyebrows right through this vertical line. Okay, she did her eyebrows equal, so they're right on this line of left and right, okay? Now, turn around to your neighbor, if you'd like, and wink at them. And see which eye you wink best at. If you can do both equally, you write it right on that vertical line, so that you're both left and right. If it feels about equal for you, put it on the line.
Would it sort of automatically the first one you did though?
Yeah,
Either one?
it's kind of the first one you did always.
But it seemed like this one.
How many of you can sneer? You sneer right. Charles, can you sneer at all? Not really. More control on your left. Okay, put that on your left column. Which hand do you write with? Put that in that column. Now here's a biggie. Which hand is larger? Look at the palm. Don't try to measure it. Look at the palm. See which one is thicker. And that's probably your writing hand. But which one is larger? Look at the fingers. I'm going to have to do this. You guys are having some problems. Put them up. Ah, sorry. This one. Way bigger. This one. Whoa. You guys are going to have to come to me. This one. This one.
Luckily, the wood's on.
About equally. This one's a little bit larger. Your left one's a little bit larger.
So's yours.
Your left one's a little bit wider. Left.
Well, mine is obvious, the right.
These fingers are longer. This one. This one's wider. This one's longer. Look at it. You want to play? Oh, okay. Left. Longer. Left. Longer. Anybody else?
But like say,
This one. Yeah. Left. Right. Are you left-handed?
Nope.
Look at how much more muscle she has in her left hand, although her right hand's bigger. Odd people in here. For any of you in education, when you find a problem kid in your classroom, they're probably a right-handed person that has a larger left hand. A great percentage of new agers have a larger left hand than their right-handed. It means you've been cross-dominant left from a very early age. It makes it not good for you, but great for other people, because it makes you dual dominant from like day one when they started this on you. And so you can see both sides, but you don't know where you are.
Boy, that's the truth.
Left.
That's the truth.
Well, I know where you are.
Oh, I know where I am too.
It makes it so you don't always know which way is left or right. In driving, somebody says, turn right, and you go. It makes it so you go in a door and everybody else turns right, you turn left. On all these profiles that you take, you're always the odd guy out, right? You never fit.
At least we know
Sherry, I have an observation.
Yes, an observation.
I have an observation. I've seen you give lectures 3 years, and I noticed on today that most of the males are on the left side, and the women, no, let me finish. And the women are, but on all those times, I always noticed that you favor this side of the room when you talk and when you give.
I always do.
Much better.
I always do. I don't care who's over here.
Well, no, I don't know that
I
the men
favor
always
this
sit on
side.
the left side either.
I
don't know
almost
that
have to
that's it.
force myself
Yeah.
over here.
Well, I noticed that through you.
Now, why is that?
I don't know.
Eva Sneed did that too. She always looked on the
It's
right
always on
side.
your right side then, right?
My thing is
dominant.
giving attention to that side on a mental level. But anything physical, I'm over on this side. Yes, Brett?
The Navy trains spotters to spot planes by looking from their left side to the right. Because you're looking with your right eye and your left hemisphere are connecting at the spot detail rather than the whole image. So you can spot details better by looking to the side.
You get somebody with a flipped hemisphere, though, and it's the
Yeah.
opposite way.
Sure.
Yes.
I was passing the football with my right hand, but I was kicking with my left foot, and it used to drive everybody wild.
It's hard to play tennis that way, too. You always get there at the wrong time. You ever wondered why that happens to you guys? You're going to stand and stop to throw a ball, and the other hand's dominant, so your feet are out of place.
Oh,
It makes it a little awkward. We're not done yet. We'll get there. Form a circle with your index finger and thumb.
Make a difference which hand?
No, and sight that exit sign through it. Which eye are you using? Put
Well,
out,
it makes a difference which hand you use.
put out a little more here. Not right next to you. Put it out about 12, 18 inches.
My arm's not that long.
Okay, now whichever eye you're using, put that in your column, either left or right column, along with your larger hand stuff, left or right. Almost guarantee that hardly anybody in here is all on one side.
You're a mess.
Anybody all on one side still? We got one person. Okay, we'll get you. Put your arms down. Oh, you through with that? Sighting? Okay, the eye that you can keep open and it'll stay in there, that's the eye you're sighting with. Okay? If I'm sighting this way, that'll stay in there, but if I do that, I'm way over here. It'll stay, the eye you're using, it'll stay right in that circle. Okay? So put that in your column, along with your larger hand stuff. I'm sighting with my left eye, see me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I put my eye in the left-hand column of what we're doing.
I'll put mine in the right.
Look at sight with me. Yeah, you're using your right. You're okay.
If you're trying to sight, I think I'm sighting with my left eye leading, but yet if I try to close my eyes with one eye, it's my right eye that stays open. I can't close my right eye and look at it. So am I sighting with my right eye and not my left eye?
You're sighting with your right eye. Put your arms down to your side. Okay, now cross your arms. Which arm went in first? Left in first, write it down. Try putting the right in first and see how that feels.
You mean underneath, or do you mean first and top?
Underneath, the opposite direction.
That feels awkward. Mine's so awkward. when I
Some
try
people
that.
are so awkward at this they can't even do it.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to do that.
Which one took the control? Which one went first?
Right.
Clasp hands. Which they go together first? Which thumb's on top? Put it in the left column. A lot of you are going to be cross-dominant in your hands, so this is a little trick you could do. Move one thumb on top of the other and shift your fingers up one. Move the other thumb on top and shift up or down one. And see how comfortable that is. Kind of awkward, huh?
Feels good.
Oh, so you get to put yours on the line. Yes, you do.
Sherry, last year you did something like this, and I noticed that when I was talking to you and you were asking me to do some of these things, I was operating differently than I normally do. Because when I went home, I couldn't do it after I was away from the conference. And I'm operating more in my right brain here than I normally do. It was really interesting. Like the smear last year, I couldn't smear for you, but when I went home, my left side was practically up to my eye.
It does when you talk, too. Do you have a good idea that you're cross-dominant, or do I need to give you some more?
No, I'm actually 4 and 4, you know.
4 and 4?
Yeah.
If you're going to do this with your children, this is a real good one for them. Have them grab one wrist behind their back. My left hand does the grabbing. I do everything with my left hand except right. My left hand is my dominant hand, even though I write with the right one.
Yeah, but I put mine back there because that's the way you use yours.
Ah! Change it over. Is it uncomfortable the other way?
No.
So you're probably equal there.
Would cross-dominant be ambidextrous?
Yes, cross-dominant would be ambidextrous.
Mine felt shitty both ways.
Or maybe you just need longer arms or something.
You know, Sherry, I think it was a year or 2 years ago, we had a fellow here that did eyes, tell me that he taught Pan Am pilots to do away with glasses. He tested me for an hour, and he said, well, says, you're one fellow that out of, what, maybe 30 out of 30,000, he said, I tested that both sides of the brain are working. And you're doing the same thing. You want to see which side is dominant, right?
Mm-hmm. But I want to do it physiologically, and I do it on many parameters. We can go on with legs and cross ankles, but you guys got the idea that you're cross-dominant because you got stuff in both columns, right? That's not how most people are. We go in and test bankers or something, they're all on one side, all in one column. You guys are cross-dominant. That makes you see both sides of the coin at once. But it also makes it so that if Dee and I have an argument, we'll each take the other person's side. Because we see those issues of the other side of the coin. And it makes it hard for you to know where you are. You pick up energy from me and you try to be me, and you pick up energy from Ruby and your body tries to manifest that, and your left and your right, and somebody's trying to make you right this way and your left hand's bigger, and your body can't decide what it wants to be, where it wants to go, or what kind of dominance is happening.
Can you explain why 3 years ago I was completely different than I am now?
Oh dear. You mean in left and right?
Yeah, I was dominant on one side, and now I'm absolutely even.
You
It
can
was
do
those
that by
LSD
psychology.
experiments. You drugs.
Yeah, with drugs. Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. Or you can do it with The other thing that you can do to trick your brain into coming up to using both sides is do some repatterning. You eat with your right hand, start eating with the left. You take off on your right foot, start taking off on your left. You can train your body to do this. One of the best ways we found to train it is to teach people just to simply to write backwards. I like that pen.
What's wrong with being even on both sides?
There's good and bad issues to it. Number one, you don't know whether to turn left or right because you're confused, because you're equal.
What if you're opinionated?
You're opinionated, yeah. No, you want to be logical, you want to be emotional. It's harder to tell which direction you want to jump because you aren't on either side. You write with your right hand, you write with your left hand. You sight with one eye, you sight with the other eye. There's nothing really wrong with it except that it's hard on you as a person because you don't always know or feel where you're coming from. Jan?
Well, what would cause a change?
Yes, it very definitely makes it difficult to make decisions.
I don't have a problem with that.
I was wondering, what's the difference between cross-dominant and whole brain?
Not a whole bunch. Whole brain means you can do it almost equally on both sides. You can write with both sides, you can sneer on both sides. And cross-dominant means usually there's a sneer on one side but leg lift on the other.
So if someone is down the center on all of these, then
It'd be
there's
whole
one
brain.
whole brain.
Down the center on both sides would be whole brain. Once you have people doing the alphabet, which is pretty easy, then you start writing in this way. I can't do it backwards. That says ginger in mirror writing. But you can develop this ability to switch that. In our society, in testing children, Orthodox Jewish children usually have the highest IQs. And it's because they read Hebrew, and that's very different from how they read English. And so they do a whole brain thing very early in their life, and they can do synthesis and kinds of complicated brain information processing at a very early age. And you can train yourself to do it, yes.
If a person is, say, all on the right, does that make them left-brained and...
Yes, left brain is the logical side. She says if you're all right-handed, right-eyed, right-sneered, all that, if you're all right, that means you're left brain. If you're left brain and you have the note of D missing, D's probably your note. But if you're right brained, the other side of that is probably your note.
So you'd really have a problem if you're balanced.
Yeah, we don't know which side to go, and the people that mess up our studies the most are New Agers, because we never know which side to jump for the sound. We have to ask them what their favorite color is, and sometimes that doesn't help. We have to say, what color do you hate? And then we know what side of the sound to give them back. The L?
The extra low frequency?
Oh.
Where's L?
You were talking about C, D, and E being left
Oh,
brain, and you guys
F.
say F and you didn't say
F depending on the shade, which way you're going to go. If it's moss green, you have right brain. If it's apple green, you have left.
How about turquoise?
That's right.
Right brain.
Usually. If that's where you want to jump with it. But another thing that happens about you New Age guys is you switch on me daily. If you have really good way to change your energy or switch it, then you will change the sides. That's why this is all individual. That's why a lot of sound therapy doesn't work. Number one, they try to use musical notes, and you can't because most people's notes are in between. And they try to use one note for everything, and that doesn't work. It has to be very individual in how you construct this. A note that will put me to sleep may energize you. So it's very individual. That's why they're not finding consistency. The biggest inconsistency they found was what note to use. And when we cracked this thing about It's whether or not you're left or right brain, then it started making a whole bunch of sense. We did a thing with an Air Force base where they wanted a note that would keep pilots from going into stress, and so they were giving a blip and a color. And the cycles per second on the blip was green, and the cycles per second on the color was green. They was canceling each other out. So we had to give them a cycle per second that was red and a color that was green, and then it worked. Because that together is 0, and that's white, and that's common peace. If you look on your chart, in between 246 cycles per second and 261, exactly between those two nodes is white. Exactly between 493 and 522, the average of that, that's white. How you add color together, you add a shade of red and a shade of bluish green and a shade of greenish blue together, or bluish violet, and you get white. That's nuts, isn't it? But by light, that's how you add it to get white. In light, the opposite of yellow is blue. That doesn't make much sense, but that's the truth. And those people who are right brain tend to be light oriented, but the people who are left brain tend to be pigment oriented. So if you got a right brainer, you give them the light. If you got a left brainer, give them the pigment. Say, go wear turquoise if that's your number. So it's a complicated issue. It's not something that I can teach you in an hour and a half to go do this for yourself or anybody else.
When you say light, you mean a light color?
Light, as in light, as in cycles per second light. Not a colored bulb, but a real emanation of light.
Right equals light and left equals pigment, did I get that right?
Left equals pigment, right equals light, most of the time. But you guys have messed up our stats. Now, if we go do a group of bankers, we got good stats, and we can deal with that. But you guys just mess us up because you change all the time.
I don't know what you mean by light not being a bulb, with a red bulb or a blue bulb.
See that white?
Yeah.
See that white fluorescent bulb?
Yeah.
It sends out a frequency of green. Screens out everything but pink by the cycles per second, even though you see it as a white bulb because they painted the outside of it white. But it's not white by frequency. There are a lot of machines out on the market that says we can give you a red light and pulsate you a red light, and they just put a red bulb on it. They are not pulsating a red light at all. That's why a lot of them don't work. You have to coordinate these things together. Some light's going on here.
So when you say a light frequency, you're talking about angstrom units per second?
Right.
So if you're doing color therapy with a red bulb, you're doing a pigment, you're not doing light.
That's true. And you do color therapy on somebody, and today they're very left oriented. You give them green, you think you're going to give them green tomorrow when they come in. If they're a new ager and they're right, you got to give them the green stuff one day and the red stuff the other. So it's kind of like Ginger said, you got to test them each day that they're coming in. Then you'll get consistent results.
Yes, I had a question about this right brain, left brain. What about the individuals that are their left brain is really the right brain, and the right brain is really the left brain?
He's talking about
Where you locate.
the location, and they usually do this with reading. And in our society, we read on the left because our language is consonant dominant. If you go to Japanese or Chinese, they're vowel dominant, and they learn to read on the right. But if you find a child that is left-handed, but their right hand is bigger, you got one of those people you're talking about. One of those totally switched over. And there's specific learning problems with those kids, and that's another similar. Yes?
How does that woman communicate then with the banker? Is there a formula?
To do color therapy for them? To do color therapy for them like that?
Well, how do you just
Communicate?
meet somebody, you communicate
Oh, with left brain people, you give them the facts first and the format of how to use it. I gave you guys the format first and then the facts. I gave you a bit of facts, a bit of right brain stuff, a bit of left brain stuff, a bit of what you do in the future with this, about how you feel about it. I jerked at your emotions. I took you back to humor. I gave you facts, you know. So I took you through the whole gamut because this room is just so diversified. But if I was going to just talk to bankers, I'd probably look at their hands first and know how they worked, and I'd do it from there, not from color. And if I went in and there was a sound in there that was very incompatible, I'd know they didn't trust me. And so I'd address that issue first. But you guys don't have that advantage of having those ears to do that. You can look at auras to do it, if you'd like. But to me, I don't find much value in seeing somebody's aura because everybody has their own issues with it. Your shade of orange means something different from her shade of orange. I mean, I can teach you to read auras or to see them. I can't teach you to read them because that's a matter of interpretation. But I can teach you to see them. That's real simple. How much time do we have?
2 hours.
It's noon. I don't get any lunch.
We've got enough time to learn to see ours.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I am really sorry. I didn't mean to do that
The
at
most
all.
valuable thing you can tell us now.
Go do your own thing.
Sherry,
What are you doing?
Sherry,
Honor, yes.
how about that gentleman that spoke to us in the main hall the other day? He said where they could literally train a person's brain to see upside down and backwards by.
Oh, they can. And your mind within a few days will transform it so that you can walk around and do it logically.
You can see everything upside down or something?
Sure, you can put glasses on and it will go back to normal so that you can walk around. I am usually very aware of time.
Can you tell us real quick how to see for us?
Sure. Anybody who wants to stay? Pick a color, any color out of this packet. I usually hear when people want to leave. I didn't hear that.
He did, but he wouldn't tell you.
You did, but you wouldn't tell me.
God, I didn't pick this color.
Yeah, right.
I think they're just
She got pretty technical. isn't it?
Whatever color you want. Why do the color and frequency cancel out? That's a great question. While you're getting your cards, I'll explain it.
You could turn that around and have it clean on the
Or
other.
better, she could ride in the backside and then we could see her.
I wish it was up on a chair. This is fuchsia to you, right? It's fuchsia because it screens out everything but fuchsia. And the only numerical light that screens out everything but fuchsia is yellow. So by light frequency, this is yellow, but since yellow screens out everything but fuchsia, this is all we see. That's the difference in pigment and light. Okay, it starts to change from pigment to light at this 26 multiple of it. And you take middle C and you start to double it, and up at 42, you start getting into the sight spectrum. We can only see one octave of one range, one octave. We can actually hear 8 octaves. We can only see one.
It's strange, that's exactly what the piano is, 8 octaves. Must go back to the Pythagoras theory.
Yep. They changed to a different kind of music when they invented the piano, too. You got your little cards? How many of you picked pink? Right brainers usually pick pink. Are you normally right brain?
On both sides. So they
Both sides?
That was exactly even.
How many picked green?
I picked white and then I turned it over.
Left usually picks that. This is a really dirty one, but this is what we use for people who are colorblind. And seeing an aura is nothing more than changing your focus. The color of this card doesn't mean a thing. It's a fluorescent piece of paper. The color doesn't mean a thing. It's the height, the width, the measurement of this thickness of this card that makes the difference. Where is that? I need one. I should have kept one. You don't want to learn to do this anyway, huh?
No, I do want to do this. Do I need the card to do it?
Yeah.
These are all extra.
Find a white or dull looking something to read, not colors. Newspaper print is really good. Glossy stuff like Omni, not good. Newspaper is really good. Use this little card as a line marker. Actually go down through the lines.
Will glasses affect that?
Yes, glasses will refract the light differently. And go just as quickly as you can down the page. And another color will appear around this card, not because you're seeing the aura of the card, but because this is fluorescent paper. You cannot not see this different color unless your eyes are damaged in some way. You see it?
Yeah. No, just right down. Just don't read it. Just
amazing.
just go straight down.
Like an ultraviolet,
This
or
turns green.
like kind of fuchsia.
Yeah. On that green, you'll see a fuchsia, pinky kind of color. On the pink, you'll see a greeny color. On the 2 shades of orange, you'll see blue.
Kind of a pinky.
You'll see pink on it. And if you can see that, you can unfocus your eyes to see an aura. For some of you who can't do this, look at your card and then close your eyes and look at it. Down a little lower, Ruby. Lay it on your paper. Look at the card and then close your eyes. And if you can see that opposite color in your head or as you're with your eyes shut, then you can probably see auras better with your eyes closed than open. Now be careful
Can you
here.
say that last sentence again, please?
Okay. If you look at this card right here and you close your eyes and look through your eyelids at it and you see the green, you can probably see auras better with your eyes closed than open.
I see the opposite.
You see, that's great. You can probably see them with your eyes closed. Know that if you see them with your eyes closed, you're actually seeing the light frequency of this, and you're going to have to transpose it to color. If you see this as green in your head, you know the color is really pink. Know, too, that if you interpret auras with your left brain, the colors are going to be different than if you're interpreting them with your right brain, correct? And 2 people can see exactly different auras, one seeing it left, one seeing it right. Happens all the time. We're doing this reading now. Not a lot of people will let you get this close and say, let me see your aura. So you have to learn to take that focus that you had to see this opposite color, and you have to learn to see it across the room. The best time and place to see an aura is about 12 feet away in a bar. Or in church, you know, both of which you're not all there, right? I don't have any quite. Oh, do it over here. Use your focus to catch that right in front of you when you're reading, and then look up here real quick and catch it around this card. Some of you may have trouble in here because we got fluorescent lighting. Some of you will only be able to see auras in natural light.
Yeah, the reflection from that one helps a lot.
Can any of you see the green around here? A lot of you can. How about stare right there and I'll jerk it away and you look where it was. See it?
Oh, yeah.
Now capture that focus. So you can see the green here because this is the next step. This is what those little aura cards are about that was on my table. Teaches you your lighting condition, your focus, and how far away. This is the best trick of all, right here. See the green? Now I'm going to move another card in. When you see the two colors begin to melt and jump at each other, yell at me. Don't look at this green card. Look at the pink one. Only the pink one. Tell me when they start to mix and blend. Now, okay, that measurement, for you particularly, that measurement is how far away you focus. Your focus point needs to be that much in front of my eyes, that much atop of my head, that much behind me, for you to be able to see an aura. You stare right at my face, you're not going to do it. You've got to be focused at that distance for you. Now, a lot of the others of you will be different. Watch this. Tell me when it jumps to that other card. Okay? That's your focus. Wherever that jumps, that's how much you need to focus away.
Move to the other side of the card.
All right. Then you're about
Oh,
that
God,
far
it's
away.
way over there.
You're about
Pushed
that
it,
far away.
pushed it from this side all the way over there.
Is that right? That's wild.
You're not
When they did
seeing-
the top one, it went to the bottom for me.
Yeah.
So whatever that measurement is, you must have to focus way out here to see an aura.
Oh,
Mine didn't jump, but when
Your
you
brain
started
did.
over
Brain
the
did. I don't see
green card
You don't see a
focused
reflection of
on
it.
the wall down here.
Okay, whatever that distance is,
When you look at that two sheet, you
that's
don't
how
see
far
a
away
ring
you have to focus to
anywhere
see an
around the
aura.
curve.
You are not seeing the aura of these cards. This is just teaching you your focus to see it. And because these are fluorescent paper, it tricks you into thinking you can, then you get the focus and you really can. The next step is to look at somebody's aura by using that same focus. That wall looks like a good thing. I'm going to do some deep breathing and you'll see the energy change. I'll use that same focus to look at me. Okay? You begin to see any kind of density in here? How about if I do this? Look at the difference between density in here and density out there. What? Look at my hand.
What? Yeah.
I'm going to jerk my hand down and look where my hand was.
Yeah.
Shape of a hand, any color,
Green.
and that would mean that my aura is somewhat red.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you're really looking at my hand and seeing it there,
I'm seeing green down here now when I'm looking up there.
I hope it's not this
Oh.
thing I'm doing here.
This is white.
That's what, you can buy these at almost any five and dime. They're made by Mead and they're fluorescent posters. This is what aura cards are made from. There's little packets of 5 different cards that teach you your focus. The more you use these, the more you'll be able to see auras, the more quickly, the more you'll find your own lighting conditions. This is not the best lighting conditions to see an aura.
Certain times it was easier to see than others because of the light.
Yeah, where I'm standing
How
in
many
the room.
colors should we buy?
Well, they come 5 in a package.
Oh, okay.
And they're something like $3.49 for these big packages.
What did you do before fluorescent?
I discovered this technique after fluorescent paper. We did a research project on auras. We knew they existed. And I was dumb enough to put a sign on one of these things.
Oh.
And I was standing by the sign in the library, or somebody was. They said, Sherry, look at my aura. And as I looked at their aura, I could see that opposing color on the fluorescent paper.
Oh.
And I thought, well, maybe this is a technique to teach people to do this. And sure enough, it was. And so we passed out these little teeny pieces of cards for years and years and years and years. And then we invented these aura cards that have charts and all the stuff in it. And this has supported our research for 11 years. This little dumpy
How
pack
much
of aura
are those
cards.
little cards?
There's $7 in this workshop and you need to talk to Julie about getting, I mean, you're welcome to look at it, but you need to
I
talk to
thought
her.
I'd get one. Who do I pay?
Julie, or you can
Pay
just,
me for
just
it.
leave it up here someplace or something.
Sure. Did you see that, was it 60 Minutes? They did a special on that lady that has now figured out with these 80 different colored lenses how to totally correct, what are these people that see upside down, backwards, and double letters?
Dyslexia.
Dyslexia?
Yeah, did you see that?
No, but I'd love to.
What is that?
Fantastic. Dyslexia is done totally away with. All she does is put these, she has 80 different colored lenses. She puts them in front of your eyes, has you read, and as soon as she puts the right one in there, bang, everything is just perfect just for you, and she makes a set of glasses, and that's all there is to it. You haven't seen that?
Good, no, that's wonderful.
That was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It was on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, there's something about,
A girl in San Rafael, I'm down in San Rafael every week.
Well, can you get me an address?
Yeah. I'll send you the tape maybe, so you can just watch the whole 20 minutes. Sure. Huh? A videotape? I think, yeah, I videotaped it off TV. It was 60 minutes.
All right.
You know, every 60 minutes, every 20 sections, they, 3 times they give somebody, well, this was, that was absolutely phenomenal, I thought. People that see letters that are doubled or tripled or upside down or backwards or something,
It must refract,
instantly corrects it with
it
color.
must refract light different.
Their brain is doing it.
Do they have to keep the glasses?
Yeah.
Use them, yeah.
The aura is what we've been talking about all day. Your
You go
aura
back,
is
they
a
can't be
cycle per
trained.
second
They can't be
frequency
trained
that
that
is a color that you carry around with you all the time and tell people what you're thinking. It's out there, people see it. Privacy is an illusion. Everything that I know you do, you really don't have to sit in class to do anything. You just call me up and take my brain.
And how does that relate to the missing note?
Because
Those are
most of
colors
the
you can't
time,
get.
yeah, most of the time the aura that your body can't vibrate to is your missing node. If we say, okay, Sam, stand up there, change to orange, change to blue, change to green, and we can watch your aura change, and you can't change to purple, you probably got the node A missing. But it's all the same thing. The missing note is out of your aura, but it's just the sound that's missing from your aura. This is your aura by sight, and you have aura by sound.
if you have a missing note, but you could listen to certain musics and that would put that note back in.
Absolutely. You can listen to certain musics, and you can get, go to a music store and say, I want music in the key of C, and they'll give it to you. Spectrum Suite is a really good piece to do that, and Ursula has some music to do that.
Where I get confused in all this, or a little bothered by it, is the sound is a mechanical vibration, And light, if you want to go by electromagnetic terms, it's electromagnetic vibration, photon bombardment and quantum. So the two are both frequency, they're both vibration. One's a mechanical vibration in the air, and the other is an electromagnetic vibration.
I'm not even sure they know what light is. They're still fighting over it. Look at these new papers that Arlen just did out of England. They're still not sure what light is. So we don't know the answer to that. We only know what works. So I'm confused too. I'm looking for a unified theory of what all this is. To me, frequency equals tone, equals color, equals emotion, equals all of it. And the color stuff is just one octave of it. If we go straight to frequency, we got it covered. And that's why if you make your own sound, you're doing a sound, but the sound is really a frequency. If you get a TENS unit, you can go right to the frequency and cure it. Go listen to your voice with one of these little machines, and I'll have them available here. I'll loan you guys mine that I'm not using. I have appointments this afternoon. And Jim, will you be in charge of it?
In charge of what?
This little machine that people can do their voice, or are you going to be here?
I
You
have to be
film.
taping Gordon.
Anybody else willing to do that? To be in charge of the machine? Bring it back to me? You are? Okay. And you guys can test your voice. But here's a warning. As we sit here and own together and all that stuff, and I exchange energy with you, we're probably pretty near the same now. So you need to eat lunch before you test yourself.
Would you show us again how to use it? I personally did it when we had a break, and
Well, which one are you going to take with you, Sherry?
They're the same. And the other dials are on the side. You still watch the same thing. 2 clicks turns it on. As I talk, the little red lights light up. They stay at a particular note that it talks about up here, A, B, C, D, E, F. You can't count it if it goes through it real quick. Ooh, see it move through real quick? That doesn't count. You have to watch the notes. And if you watch mine, you'll find I nearly always have D missing. D missing means that the organs that run at the note of D, which is the liver and gallbladder, aisles of Langerhans, pancreas, all that, doesn't function properly. So I will have a problem there, and indeed I do. I can't digest fats well, and I don't have a gallbladder anymore. But my husband's a note of D, so he compensates me for a lot of that.
Do you take a pill because you have a gallbladder taken out?
Mm-hmm.
Do you take any pill for that?
No, I do it with my head. And I got wise after I let him take it out, right?
So both of them are.
How much of this audio have we missed, Jim?
The
What?
on,
It went out.
they're both
Probably
2
not
clicks to
last
on.
Not the last 5 minutes.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, power on and fast. Okay.
Sherry, we couldn't replace that note with a synthesizer because the body doesn't like it. You said, but we could replace it with a tape recording of a,
You see?
but not synthesized because the spectrum's 3 synthesized.
But they're sine waves.
Okay.
That makes a difference. They're not
So
harmonic.
you can use a synthesizer with sine waves indeed?
Yeah.
Because they do make sine waves.
Whatever you feel inside you that makes the movement happen, you know, when you want to foot stomp, you know, and you feel that surge come, that's probably your music. Any of you who want to continue this on a personal basis, you want to teach this to your clients, you want to do your sounds. I mean, this is hard to interpret. You can run up here and look at what note's missing, but you really don't know what to expect after that happens. And it takes about an hour to teach you to do this for yourself and other people. And I'll be around. Talk to Julie. Go over to the desk. I just gave you a teaser. I mean, this is a mound of information that I gave you. But this is just a teaser to what's really there.
Notice D in your crystal?
Yes, I have a crystal here that's a note of D, and I have a crystal bowl that is the note of D. So when I'm without my husband, I just play my bowl.
It's a D, a particular octave.
Yes.
You also chose the octave, not just the note.
Because I'm too lazy to do it with my head, and I get in a place where I just can't conjure up the color that I need, so I'll play my bowl, and then I've got it.
You play your bowl.
You got a bowl.
But that's
G.
I mean, I got a real bowl, and that's the sound it
Did you
makes.
see the Dead Sea Road?
Yes.
And what does listening to our sound in the paper cups do for us?
It sends the sound back into the eardrum, and that's the perfection you need. You don't need the color, the sound by a synthesizer, anything else. You need to learn to listen to that high-pitched sound in your ear.
That's your missing sign?
Usually always is.
And what does that do then? That
It sends you into an altered state, number one, and tends to send back the sound in a hearing range for you. It's like really high-pitched ringing in your ears, and it will start out sounding like millions of crickets or cicadas. You guys have cicadas here? They rub their legs together, make a little squeaky sound.
crickets.
Tree frogs? You guys have tree frogs?
Crickets.
Well, it starts out sounding like that, and then it graduates to bell sounds, like millions of bells in a distance. Then it goes to flute sounds. Then it goes into a series of notes. And as you begin to hear on these different octaves, you'll begin to hear these different notes and sounds.
Are you saying that when we put the paper cups to our ears, that's what's going to happen?
That's how you teach yourself to listen to your own sound. How you listen to the sound inside the cup is very much the way you listen to your own sound. I used to tell people, well, listen to just this conversation right here, and then listen to the whole room, and listen to just this, and listen to the whole room. And people just couldn't change that. They couldn't do it. You could try that at lunch, you know, just listen to your table, then listen to the whole room, and use that same technique when you're real quiet and alone. Or put a pillow up here and listen to the pillow. What you're doing is blocking this so that this sonar that's created is sent back into the eardrum to hear it. And you will hear your own sound. See, all this other sophisticated stuff is unneeded if I can teach you to listen to your own sound.
Which is also the sound that's missing.
Right.
But we also need to listen to our missing sound.
The missing sound is the one that comes out your ears, and we feed it right back. Same
And
way.
the more you do that, the more healing you're going to affect in your own energy field. Is that
Right.
correct?
But some people get so sick they can't hear that anymore.
Our missing sound is the one that we hear when the cups are dead.
Unless you're real sick.
Is that what you
Most of the time.
No, the cups just teach you how to listen. You're hearing your sound in the cup has a sound, you're hearing the combination. If you can just learn to listen to the inside of your ears, and that's a real hard thing to know until you get it and you say, oh yeah, I heard that before, once you start getting this stuff. But it sounds like millions of bells off in a distance, and it's very hard to hear in a crowd with lights or cameras or that kind of thing.
But that is our missing sound.
Yeah.
Well, once you have it back in, will it change? I mean, you know, if you have, say your D is missing, and once you finally balance yourself out where that sound is now back into your system, are you then going to have different sounds in these cups, or you will have no sound? What happens then?
You'll still hear the sound in the cup. You'll still emit a sound.
The missing sound? Missing sound?
But it may be white, or it may be a series of sounds.
Okay.
Like when I listen to the cup, I hear. And that just repeats. For
Is
me,
that D?
it's a series of B's. It starts at B's, and it's a series of notes. But I'm hearing many octaves at once. I don't think this is just one octave of sound, although most people start to hear it as that. It starts out as these tree frogs and bells, and goes to flutes and a series of sounds.
So, but then after you're balanced, then that's when you would start hearing other notes.
Yeah, and you usually hear a series of sounds that goes through the whole scale.
Sure.
Sounds like you're moving to a new dimensions, inner planes.
Because once you start listening to your own sounds, the current that runs through your body is at a larger range.
Sure. You ever get a big shock at night?
Yeah.
For your body? About what time?
Or when I'm astraling out and I try to come back in too quick, or I got scared or something.
Just,
A jerk.
yeah, that jerk.
Yeah.
About what, any time of night?
Oh, I can do it anytime when I'm meditating and somebody calls me on the phone or something and jerks me back in.
Really?
Yeah.
It hits me about 1 o'clock a.m. every morning.
That must be
And I heard a fellow explain that was a master signal from the creator that is energizing your body. Right? I mean, I knew I'd experienced it for years and years. And just like within usually 15 minutes to a half hour every night, I get it. My whole body. It totally surprises.
If we tested you, I bet that your body would run a larger current than most people, a larger range of current.
It does, because I cannot wear any rings or watch because it'll melt on me. I have a, I don't, I test my pH here, and I'm a perfect pH, but obviously my skin, whatnot isn't. I'm running a hotter current, but my pH is perfect.
See, all this stuff I taught you today was useless. I should have just taught you to listen to your own sound. But most of you are in a state of stress most of the time, so you can't listen to your own sound. And we're in such an environment with air conditioners, electric lights, and that kind of thing, that our own sound is masked. So we do it with music. We created music to help us find that sound again. I'm willing to help anybody do this in their own therapy or for themselves. I want this information to the public. I don't feel like any of us are finished with this. This will be continuous. The talk I gave, I think, is a unifying theory for it. I think it's just going to compound and blossom and grow from here. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to what I had to say.
Okay.
When are you gonna publish
Have
all
a
this
card.
stuff?
When am I gonna publish? A lot of it's published. Yeah, in scientific journals.
Okay, but you haven't put a book of your own out.
No.
You just publish papers and
My,
specific.
my new book is called The Reunion of Psychic and Science, and it'll be in there
When does that go?
as soon as I get it finished.